Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Jim Miller, who recently was named Interim Executive Director at CSPS in Cedar Rapids. So, Jim, welcome in your wearing your new hat.
Thank you, appreciate it.
For those watching the video, he's not actually wearing a hat.
No hat today.
But yeah, so CSPS, like every organization, still figuring out, coming back out of the pandemic. But you kind of have what I would feel, it feels like kind of a full spring programming slate for the first time.
We do. And yes, we, like every organization, yes, we are still reinventing ourselves or trying to reinvent ourselves and get people back in the building. We have concerts and theater and art and many things, but we need people to come in. At this point, we are still requiring masks for folks in the building. A lot of that for us, quite frankly, is a number of our performers that we bring in require that in their contract, that they're requesting masks and or proof of vaccination. So as part of their contract, we obviously follow that. That may change in the future, but right now we do still require masks.
CSPS throughout its history has had a reputation for bringing, perhaps the widest variety of different kinds of acts, everything from singer-songwriters to, kind of avant-garde drama to Tuvan throat singers. First time I ever heard a Tuvan throat singer, CSPS.
That's wild. We actually just had Alash, the Tuvan throat singers, last month again, and yeah, they have a following. Same thing. First time I had seen them in person, but they absolutely have a following.
Who knew? Eastern Iowa was going to be a hotbed for Tuvan throat singers.
That's right. But yes, you hit the nail on the head. We present I think a really broad variety of, from international performers to folk and blues and jazz and Americana. SPT Theater and Revival Theater also both perform. SPT performs all of their shows at CSPS, and Revival does some. So again, that theater is presented, and we have just a number of organizations that use our building, whether it's our black box theater or a big theater upstairs, and our visual arts. That's an important part of what we do also.
So tell us what's up for the month of April.
Absolutely. We have a great April. We had SPT earlier this month. They will be back in May and June. Also had Jeffrey Foucault, who has a great following, had him. And we have just opened an art exhibit called The Human Form. It's from the Cedar Rapids Drawing Club. This exhibit was just relocated from the Cherry Building, but it's about 15 artists that are all in a loose organization, the Cedar Rapids Drawing Club. It's based at Coe College, and it's all about the human form. So again, however they interpret that, and again, they are all different. Some of these artists have been doing this for decades, and others are students. So it's a really wide variety of what's there. But that is upstairs in our main gallery. Folks know it, the space next to the theater. Next week, we have Dick Prawl, who now goes by Dickie, and Chad Elliott. They both have ties to Cedar Rapids. Dick used to live here, actually, for several years. They're both now in the Des Moines area, but they are performing on Friday night, the 15th, in our building. We also have an interesting mix of non-music and art events. The Gazette produces a series called Pints Politics, a discussion of politics and culture, and that kicks off this month in April. They'll be in our building every other month for the rest of the year. We also have a lecture we're doing with the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art about Carl Van Vechten. And we have a bar space upstairs called Carlo, and the name Carlo is the takeoff of Carl Van Vechten. Many people don't know that, but Carlo, the space itself is surrounded with his photographs. That, for folks that wouldn't know, Carl Van Vechten is a Cedar Rapids native and was a very well-known photographer. But on the 14th, we're having a presentation from the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art discussing him and his artwork. So that's exciting to us to have some different kind of events. Later in the month also, Nick's Page Books is one of our retail tenants in our building, and on the 28th, they are producing a night of poets and spoken word. About a dozen folks that are Eastern Iowa authors or writers will be presenting that. And then to end our month, we are producing starting on April 30th, and then we'll do the two other ones in May. There are three documentaries that have been made about Rockwell Collins, or Collins Radio, as it was known then. And we're showing the first one on Saturday, April 30th, and we're excited for that. There is a lot of interest. The movies have been shown in previous locations, but great interest in this. There are thousands of Rockwell Collins connections. So a really interesting month, we think.
That is, that Collins story in particular is fascinating.
It really is.
A lot of people still in Cedar Rapids who retired from Collins, who were a part of the work they did with Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. And those films just came from the Cedar Rapids Independent Film Festival, where they won the top award.
They did. It really, I agree with you. It is a fascinating story. And yes, there are so many folks that either worked there or their family or they have a connection. And I think it's also a story that so many people don't really realize the role that Collins Radio played in space. It's really interesting.
Well, and, okay, small spoiler here, but you have to hear the full story in the documentary. If not for Collins, there would have not been any video from Apollo 11.
Okay.
They came up with that idea, and NASA was not interested, didn't see any need for it. There would have been no pictures.
Isn't that wild?
Isn't that crazy?
To think that there wouldn't have been photographs of it.
Right.
That's wild.
So you have to listen to him tell the story in the documentary.
Well, and we will have, at the end of that film, we will have Annette Busby, who's the producer of the movie, and a couple other folks that are involved with it, doing a panel discussion, a Q&A. But it is really just an interesting story. And like I said, I think so many people really don't realize what role Cedar Rapids and Collins played in making all this happen.
Well, CSPS is back. I guess that's our main message here.
I think it is. And yes, I mentioned to Dennis earlier, CSPS, again, we were formerly known as Legion Arts. CSPS is the building, CSPS Hall. But we have been around for decades. I mean, the building's been around for 130 years. The organization's been around for over 40 years.
CSPS was the original engine that drove the development of what is now Nouveau.
I would agree with that.
It was the first thing that went into what was at the time kind of a blighted neighborhood, and was the attractor,
right?
There,
Absolutely,
that eventually attracted everything else.
Yeah, the organization moved in, or Melendringa and John Herbert, who many people know, moved to that space in 1991. And then, of course, in 2008, a little flood happened, and the entire building and the whole neighborhood, obviously, was underwater. So then the building was closed for about 3 years, and reopened and expanded during that. But yeah, it absolutely is a really key part of that neighborhood.
Well, as we all kind of come slowly back from the pandemic, it is so great to have CSPS kind of back in full force as a place that brings in your own programming, that is a house for people who want to bring interesting stuff. And of course, you've got some retail that tenants as well that are new as well. So there's just a lot going on in Nouveau, and CSPS is a huge driver behind that.
It's a good place.
If people want information on any of these events, they can visit your website, which is?
Yeah, can cspshall.org. And we are open to the public Thursday through Sunday, noon to 6, plus all events, certainly. But yes, noon to 6, Thursday through Sunday, you can come in.
Stop by, see the gallery.
Come through the galleries, go to the bar if you want. So yes, we're trying really hard to get people back in the building safely and responsibly. But yes, stop by, or everything. Whole calendar of events, everything's on the website also.
We'll come back in a few weeks and give us the outline of what's coming up in May and June.
Yeah, we've got a great May and June, absolutely. So,
CSPSHall.org, again, if you'd like more information on any of these events, or to just get the information to stop by. You can hear The Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or however you get your podcasts. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.